Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one rated sportsbook app out there. I'm your host, Rudo, joined by AJ, Haefele, and Blais Hunter. Gentlemen, I have one question for you guys. Who is more lost? Devin Dubnick in this picture that we're about to show you, or the show me your butthole guys from All Gas No Breaks? Because I feel like neither of those people have any idea where they are.
Is Dubnick smiling?
It kind of looks like it.
It just sort of looks like he's like, LOL, look how far away from the puck I am.
That is dead center of the net. Look at that. That's ridiculous.
I loved one of the Vegas writers being like, Pacioretty did a great job to bury that chance. I wanted to tweet at him and be like, bro, the net was empty.
He's covering maybe 5% of the net right there. Maybe.
What are you talking about? The shooter tutor is embarrassed by this.
Shooter tutor is harder to score on than Dubnick right now.
He could have come off the bench and made a beeline for the net and probably still covered as much of the net as he was right there. What was that?
It gets worse. It gets worse too as you rewind this.
Yeah, the
this
funniest
scene
part
right here.
is this was the goal that was the least bit Dubnick's fault. So not great. Definitely not great goaltending from the Avs in this hockey game.
From the Avs, this is not a team effort. This was not a team effort at all. This was not a group that went in and played poorly and absolutely deserved to walk out of there with a 5-2 L. No, I'm not putting up with that tonight. No, this was one dude. One dude, and he was just on the screen. That guy wearing the Avs jersey. That guy replaced that A with an L, and it was an accurate representation of tonight. That guy was awful. That was a straight up, you get what you pay for kind of performance.
Yep.
At that point, I don't even think you can make an argument that he's worth a 5th round pick with that kind of play. That was atrocious goaltending. There wasn't a single one of those goals. The first 3 should never happen. End of story. I'm not hearing arguments on it. The 4th goal, it's a 2-on-1, okay? Like, you don't ever want to, like, bag on a goaltender for a 2-on-1. But what the hell, bro? You're not even in the net. You literally have a little thing on the ice that tells you where you should spend the vast majority of the game. And you're nowhere even close to that. You're not even competitive.
I'm sure.
It's so bad. Why don't I go in the goal? Because I would be atrocious. I'm not being paid $2.5 million to do that. That's why I don't look. If I had spent my entire life, my whole life, dedicated to doing that, to stopping pucks, and I played like that, I would be super embarrassed.
That's part of the problem. If AJ was in net for a 2-on-1, this is what it would look like. Legitimately. Like that is how the goal would go in, is the entire net would be open.
I think
easily one of those situations where you're like, the average person on the street couldn't do significantly worse than that.
Right.
What are you covering? What are you reading? Why were you so locked in on the shot? Like, granted, to be fair here, Devon Toews does not do anything to help him.
Definitely not.
He gets back and he lays down on the ice and he slides in a straight line, and Mark Stone ignores him completely.
You can see his stick right there.
No, that's Kadri.
That's Kadri's
Oh, that
stick.
is it. Yeah, you're right.
He completely ignores Devon Toews. In a world of how to defend a 2-on-1,
this was not it.
This is not it, fam.
By the way, this 2-on-1 never happens if Nazem Kadri doesn't take 8 years to shoot a puck into Mark Stone's leg.
Well, then fires it right into the guy
that
is a 1.5 feet from him with no help. And it's like, what are you doing? So you have a dumb by Kadri, and then he can't get back. And then you have an attempt, I guess, was made to defend the 2-on-1 by Taves. That is atrocious. And then you have Dubnick completely locked in and dedicated to the shooter, which just invites the shooter to be like, well, I guess I'm going to pass this puck, which he does with ease because Devon Taves made no play. So, great.
I still think Dubnick's getting paid by Minnesota.
Yes.
This is an inside hit job on
He
the
literally
Avs right
is.
now.
Yeah, they retained
money to send him to San Jose.
Yeah.
He's literally being paid by Minnesota.
Yeah.
This is one of those games where it just looks like it. Minnesota's laughing all the way to the bank. They're trying to cash another check right now. Can we just keep? Yeah, come on. Can we write him another one? Can we ensure that he continues to do this for them? Unbelievable.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And anyway, that guy was terrible. If that guy doesn't get an F from Evan's grades tonight, I will also say something publicly. He was horrible.
On Evan lately.
Look, the first goal, like you could argue that it's a breakaway, but that guy is on his backhand.
A weak backhand.
He has no other moves to make
from a tough angle, and Dubnick just squeaks right through it.
It's not even like a special back. It's not even like the Rantanen backhand against Minnesota that beat Kakinen over his shoulder, where you're just like, you can't blame a goalie for that shit. That's elite stuff. Carlson didn't do that. It's a soft backhand. It's a super soft goal. And then the second goal does not hit Devon Taves' stick.
Nope.
Pierre Maguire was super convinced that it did not touch that stick. They had a camera angle that very clearly shows a clean path all the way through. Puck didn't move at all. You know why it didn't move at all? Because the man being paid millions of dollars to get in front of it didn't bother to do that. What are you doing? And then the third goal, like, okay, it's a nice play. It's cute by Stone. It gets banked off the back. But, like, what?
Well, first of all, Dubnick should have smothered the first shot. And then the second shot, he stops by wildly moving himself out of position. And instead of just backing himself into his own net and there being no angle for any possible goal to being scored, he's like, here's my back, Mark Stone. Please use it as a bank to shoot your shot into the net.
Wasn't he scored on like this just a few games ago, too, when he was in? Didn't he get one from behind the goal line?
Yeah, and against Minnesota or against St. Louis. It was way flukier than this.
Yeah.
That was like guys were slapping in a puck and it took a funny bounce and it like popped up on his shoulder. He was actually almost defending against that puck in St. Louis. This was just like, bro, God, why do you suck so much, man? It was disappointing. Like, it really, you haven't seen like Dubnick had those first couple games where it was like, fine, this is great. Like, I will take this out of Devin Dubnick all the time. Gives up 2 or 3 goals and stops. I don't care how good or bad they are, but that's it. But tonight it was like, oh, the Avs get pushing a little bit. The Avs are starting to take over a little bit, and then nope. Like Girard goes off his skate, and the man is totally lost.
Yeah,
there's nobody around him.
I want to
There's
talk
nothing
about
going
Girard
on
more in a little bit, but
like ends up. I don't know. That's a tough break. Somebody needs to be yelling at him that it's in his feet.
Legitimately, no lie. Go check our Blizzard whisper logs between AJ and I.
Oh, yeah.
We had a conversation at 1 a.m. last night where it's like, boy, as long as the Avs don't give up an early goal, this game is probably going to be good.
Yeah, felt great about it all day.
And 10 seconds in.
To be honest with you, they played.
Yeah, their skaters were good.
They played the way I thought they would. They played a good game. They were fine. There were some mistakes. It wasn't perfect, but like there's a great team on the other side of the ice. You're not going to play a perfect game against those Cats.
Yeah,
they played a solid game overall. Like if I could just replace goaltenders and run that shit all the way back,
it'd be a great game. Yeah,
it would be a way more competitive game.
yeah.
It was like, dude, like a bad bounce and then a goaltender that's clearly just not ready to go. What are you doing?
Yep.
And then they were fine. Like, look, we forget, but they had 2 power plays immediately after that they killed.
Yeah.
They were 13 seconds of a 5-on-3 that could have totally like buried them. And they didn't. They killed that stuff.
I mean, they completely battled back and made what was an awful start to the hockey game a relatively even first period. And they get a goal out of Devontae's to boot. You escape a horrible start for the Avs. And then they come out in the second period, and they were the significantly better team for the first 6-7 minutes of that period. They were dominating Vegas. They just couldn't find a goal. And then they take a penalty, and everything just falls apart from there as Dubnick can't get them a save when they needed one.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this, Vegas had very few big pushes in this game.
Yeah, it was their first period was their most aggressive period offensively.
Yeah.
The rest of their goals were just taking advantage of few and far between opportunities, and the Avs not stopping them.
Yeah, they didn't do much in the second except for they scored a goal. Scored 2 goals. Was it 2 in this?
2 in the second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
on
was one. It was
6 shots.
It was their first shot of the period, 9.5 minutes into the second period. Which is why I'm right. Like, look, you can't make an argument that Vegas was awesome in this game.
Yeah.
They didn't get a shot on goal for 9.5 minutes, and the shot that they got was some weak wrister from the point that Devin Dubnick shouldn't let in practice. Like, I don't know, dude. I think all of the good. I'm of the opinion, like, one guy doesn't lose you a game, but I'm of the opinion that Devin Dubnick more or less lost them this game.
It's the same thing as in any sport. Look, yes, it's a team effort, but there's a reason why goaltenders are the guys who get the win-losses on their record. There's a reason why pitchers in baseball are the guys who get the win-losses on their record. Quarterbacks don't get the win-losses on their record, but same kind of thing. Their role in a game, if that player is bad, it's way harder for that team to win a game. It's just reality.
Yeah. It's also harder to come back when you don't have the NHL's second leading goal scorer.
Yeah, that hurts.
You know, no Mikko, no Joonas Donskoi, no Phillipp Grubauer, no Brandon Saad. You're missing a third of your regulars in your top 9, and you're missing your starting goaltender. Like, you're okay. Like keep in context that this is a 3-2 game going into the third period. Despite all of that, you're okay.
Yep.
Like, you're okay. But I think the Liam O'Brien thing is done, guys. He played 3 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
So
don't think we'll be seeing him again.
I think the Liam O'Brien and the Martin Kaut things are both done. I think those are both finished for this year. Barring more injuries, of course. Barring more injuries. But they've got 9 games left that we just have to sit through. This isn't. It's not even like, oh, we got nine more games. We just have 9 more of these things we have to sit through. 8 of these are going to be against San Jose and Los Angeles. Woo.
Yeah. We can take our first period break on that note, as we are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can get yourself some hard seltzers at your local liquor store. Find that 15-can sampler pack. If you do see it, get it, because they move very, very quickly. It can be hard to find. You can also come down to the DNVR bar and try 8 different kinds of their beer on tap. Also brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee, the CBD-infused coffee that has really changed lives. Be sure to check them out and use their new code DNVR25 to get 25% off your first order. It's the best deal they've done in a long, long time. So jump on that as well. Another thing you can try at the DNVR bar, cold brew Strava down there. Join us at the DNVR bar is what I'm saying. Also sign up for the annual membership with DNVR to get big 22-ounce beers at the DNVR bar. Of course, it comes with our amazing content. You get a free shirt and a mask as well. It's just awesome all the way around. Why not do it now? Or rather, yeah, now's a good time, right? Because the playoffs will probably start within the next month. And that's when things get fun again for the Avs. So sign up, see what we have to offer you. I promise we make a bunch of cool stuff. AJ's pieces, Evan's grades, so you can double check and make sure AJ's calling him out correctly or not based on the grades that he writes. Bunch of other stuff as well. Of course, if you're a Colorado sports fan, it's a must. Second period.
Big day in Colorado sports tomorrow. Big day.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's draft day, and now we're not talking quarterbacks anymore because the Broncos took that Bridge thing really seriously and went out and literally got a guy with Bridge in his name. So,
how do you trust him, Bridgewater over Locke? That's just the same dude, kind of. Anyway, we're not the football podcast, but you should check out that draft.
I've got all kinds of. I've got a day's worth of thoughts about all of it.
Check it out, 5:45 p.m. If you enjoyed our hockey draft show, look, all of our draft shows are big productions, so go check it out. It's going to be dope. You know how it is. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I did want to talk about a couple players beyond the goaltender, because while I do think the Avs played well on a whole, we can talk about Nazem Kadri for the 800th time.
Take our entire Nazem Kadri conversation from 2 days ago and copy and paste.
That's what
I will say. If Tyson Jost buries that, we're feeling a lot better about Nazem Kadri as a whole. The two plays. If he doesn't, the 2-on-1, and if Jost buries that, then he has an assist where he makes a really nice play. He made a nice play, and he drew 2 penalties. There were a way more positives to pull from Nazem Kadri than there have been in the last 2 weeks.
I agree. He also had that pass to Graves sneaking on the back door. It wasn't a great pass, but he saw the play and made it. And then I didn't hate the shot that he took on Fleury in the first period.
I didn't have any problem with that. I know Nichushkin was there.
Yeah.
But I had no issues with him shooting that. A guy that has scored as many goals as he has in his career, you expect that guy to shoot.
No argument there.
Keep shooting to get out of the slump, right? Just keep shooting.
It'll happen eventually. It has to. AJ might. I'm not a football person.
I am the originator of that draft podcast.
Yeah. They started that back in
that was
16?
My baby from the start. But I got too busy with the hockey stuff, and so we decided to give it to the college guys instead, and then Trey, of course, who is still phenomenal. But they always have they know that anytime they ever want me on, I'll hop on and talk football with them.
There you go.
So
the other guy I did want to talk about tonight was Sam Girard. Obviously had the bad turnover for the first goal of the game, had the penalty that led to Vegas's goal in the second period. This was not his night. And the conversation is interesting because as I was tweeting about it, I got a lot of people saying, Sam Girard has been bad for a while now. I don't agree. He hasn't been elite. He's not in the Norris conversation anymore, certainly, but he'd been fine, just somewhere in the middle. And tonight it was bad.
I think it's fair to say his level has dropped.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
But it's not it hasn't been an active detriment, but they do need better from those guys. They survived with Dan Renouf and Jacob McDonald and all those guys because
they were getting the best out of everyone on that decor.
Taves and Girard together, especially, were just shredding.
Yep.
You can't blame him for that first goal, though, right? It looks like
it's a puck. It's a bad bounce. It just goes off his skate. He doesn't know where it is. That's all it is. I'm not coming down on him for that. I have a way bigger problem with that penalty that he got called for because he let the forecheck get on top of him.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that is Sam Girard's game. You pay $5 million a year because Sam Girard is a guy that doesn't get you in that kind of trouble. Yeah. That's what he does. So for that is for me is a much bigger problem than a puck glances off his skate, he doesn't know where it is, and a guy just swoops in. And again, if Devin Dubnick can make a routine save on a pretty ho-hum backhander, we aren't even talking about it. We probably don't even remember that play. If anything, we're just remember that? It's a total throwaway.
Yep. I saw chat talking about this. I saw Twitter talking about this as well. And this take is nonsense. The Avs aren't injury prone. Phillipp Grubauer isn't injury prone. All right. You have to understand the context of this year and COVID protocols. There are injuries, and then there is the COVID. What?
I said it's injury prone to get
COVID. Yeah, right. All of the key players that we mentioned, except for Brandon Saad, that are out of the Avs lineup, are out of the Avs lineup because of COVID protocols. That's not an injury issue. I don't know what to tell you.
Byram was the protocol, but now it's obvious that
had a setback or whatever.
Yeah, it was the concussion from the Kolesar hit.
But
went high on Connor Timmins tonight, and I swear I was going to go through the screen if he concussed Connor Timmins. So,
yeah,
COVID. I mean, if you take out all the COVID related absences this year, their injury issues really haven't been problematic since the start of since a month into the season, where they had a bad injury rash. And then they got better. They got healthy after that, and they were fine.
And their injuries were their only major injury that had core lineup effect was EJ.
Yeah,
in
Francouz.
And Francouz, that's true. That I barely even count him because
let's be real here. Their worst luck of the year was that they got
their
0 minutes out of the guy that they spent $2 million to be their backup goaltender. This wasn't like he got into a couple of games and then got hurt, and then they had to go shop for another goaltender.
They got nothing.
They one place that they tried to cut a corner was with their third goaltender, which of course predictably failed. But they also got the worst luck imaginable in that their backup gave them 0 minutes. He opened the bench door for 2 whole games and then was done.
Yep.
They got nothing out of their backup goaltender this season.
And that sucks. But again, that's pretty much it. You had the Timmins injury, but again, that's a fringe defenseman on your lineup. The core of them, the only injury they had that was going to really be scary was the McKinnon one, and then they went on the COVID pause anyway.
Yeah.
Has any other club gone on 2 separate COVID pauses? Or as NBC says, vacations. That's what it made it sound like today.
This is the thing about the COVID pauses that we have not actually talked about at all on this podcast. When they have a bye week or an all-star break or something like that, they're still skating.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're still actively doing stuff. During the COVID pause, during the COVID pause, you have to work out on your own. You're told to stay away from the facility. You stay away from the facility. You're not skating. You're not working out in a professional gym. You're working out and doing whatever you have, right? You're making the most of it. But I mean, Makar was injured once though. Yeah. Makar had one injury. And he was really, it was just the once.
It was the one time that he was injured that was bothering him, and that was during the best stretch of the season for the Avs. So
yeah. And if you want to question whether Makar is going to be durable enough overall,
that's fair.
I think that's a fair conversation. Look, 2 years into his career, he's missed significant games.
Yeah.
But let's be real, him missing time this year is probably going to cost him a realistic run at the Norris.
Yep.
It's just how it is.
He'll add some he'll add some meat to his body and be fine. I mean, he plays a physical game, right? Like he's in there hitting guys and stuff, and he's got to put some weight on because if he stays his size in a few years, he's going to get a lot of injuries.
He's got such broad shoulders that you look at his frame and you're like, when this guy is 24 years old, he'll be completely fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like he will, when he like some of this is like you can't like out train physical maturity.
Yep.
You know, like you just can't. There's nothing you can do about being 20 years old, 21 years old, and just not quite being in your physical prime yet. Well, one of the things about a lot of these guys coming into the league this young, you know, Byram, Makar, even Girard, these guys aren't in their physical primes yet. That's one reason why we're all excited about the future. But he's not quite there yet. I mean, I don't even know why we're having this conversation right now. Like, it's really just not relevant to anything that's happened with the Avs recently.
Yep. Agreed.
They're missing key guys because of contact tracing on COVID or because they got COVID.
Yeah.
Correct. So
I like Ryan's comment. Ryan's comment there. Get that man some mayo chicken.
he needs mama's cooking, I guess.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is funny, speaking of the NFL draft, because mama's cooking is considered a bad thing in that world. Those guys go home, they gain 15 pounds, they come back to the facility, and coaches are like, "What the shit is that?" They're like, "Yo, dog, my mom making them eats. What am I gonna do? Tell my mom no? What, you crazy?"
Thank you, Justin, and everyone else tonight for the super chats, by the way. Very, very appreciated. I saw it talked about earlier in the show a little bit. Gabe Landscape leading the Avs in hits. So if you want your man rocket to hit like the man rocket, head on over to manscaped.com and get that thing looking good.
He didn't, though.
What?
He didn't.
He didn't score or hit?
He didn't lead in hits.
Well, according to NBC, he did. So
he was tied for first.
He's
for the year.
For the Avs.
For the Avs.
Oh, for the year.
Yeah.
Okay, we're cool. Go on to read about balls.
I surely hope you're not keeping score in the bedroom game by game. That's got to be like your window has to be longer than that.
There is no score. It's either check or no check.
Right. And Manscaped helps you get the check. That's all I'm saying. So get their Perfect Package 3.0 today. Get their lawnmower trimmer. Get all their other goodies, whether it be deodorant, toner, breath mints. They have cool stuff. I swear they have cool stuff that isn't just a meme about shaving your balls too. Like they actually have other products that can take care of like your beard or other hair around your body. It's very good stuff. Please use it. Use the DNVR code when you sign up to get 20% off. And I believe it's free shipping if you get their Perfect Package as well. So jump on it. Please support our partners. Also, brought to you by the wonderful people at DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. They have amazing odds boosts every single day, which you can use on pretty much every major sport out there. But their best bet that they have going right now, with the draft still coming up, you can still get in on this. Bet $1 that a quarterback is going to be taken first overall and win $100. So I don't know why they make me do this read and like specifically say it should just be DraftKings gives you $100. That'd be what this is like. So do that. Go sign up with the DNVR code over there and get yourself $100 because that's essentially what it is. You can use that $100 to bet on hockey, to bet on baseball, to bet on whatever you want. Download their top-rated app now. Again, please remember to use that DNVR code to let them know we sent you. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Only a DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Winnings paid out in free bets. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. And, of course, last but certainly not least, we're brought to you by Solace Meds, which are still giving away a trip to Jamaica. For the next couple of days, you can still get in, win yourself a trip to a nice, warm place. Why not do it? Sounds like a ton of fun to me. Even though I won't be going anywhere because, I'll be here making Avalanche videos as we do.
Yeah, we have Rogue versus Dream conversation in the chat right now.
Rogue versus Dream? Ooh, baby.
These are our people.
I'm saying. P.S. You could bet on that at DraftKings Sportsbook while you're enjoying your Solace Meds. Check them out today at solacemeds.com. Is that correct? That's definitely not correct. Oh, it is correct. Oh, I'm so good at my job. solacemeds.com/sweepstakes to get yourself entered to win the trip to Jamaica. And when you do head on out there, 4 locations in Colorado, use code DNVR20 to save 20% off your entire purchase. Great deals. Trip to Jamaica. Can't go wrong. Do it. Get on it. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. I haven't watched that series either yet. Meeks was telling me about it and was like, you got to watch it, but I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't either.
Did you tweet me a romper, Sage, or are we talking about this banana onesie?
What?
he earlier up there, he was like, he was asking me if I saw the romper that he tweeted me. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Can't tell you that I have. Is it just like jorts but also overalls? Because someone was talking to me about that today. Oh yeah, the band.
Oh, okay.
We did see that. Yeah,
we did see that one.
those are fire, by the way. Those are nice.
I legitimately looked into buying some banana pants, but I was like, these options are all terrible. I was like, I'm even for this silly gag, these are bad.
Amazing.
I don't think the division is lost. Personally.
There it is.
Yeah, that is great right there. Those are hot. Those are hot.
Yeah, I don't think the division is lost either for 3 reasons. 1, the Avs still have a game against Vegas, which is a huge 4-point swing there. 2, the Avs have a game in hand against Vegas. 3,
so they win that game. They've made up 4 of the 6 points.
Points back on that if they win those 2. 3, Vegas is on a 10-game win streak. They're not going to win out the rest of the season.
Guess what happens to teams when they lose after a big winning streak?
It's exactly what's happening to the Avs. Right?
They lose some more?
What? There's always that little period where there's just a little bit of a dip.
Yep.
Sometimes it's 3 games, sometimes it's 5 games, sometimes it's Buffalo, so it's the rest of the year. But that little dip always happens. It's one of those things that's just good and predictable in sports.
Yep.
When you get really, really hot, the universe is like,
so the Avs are just getting it out of the way.
That.
Look at even the Golden State Warriors. All right,
they get some back too.
You go. What was the Warriors' record that year? Was it like 71-11 or something?
I don't actually. I think they won 73 games.
73-9. Yeah, and then they lost the championship. So
I don't watch the ASL. I didn't play Brood War, so
yeah, I never played StarCraft 1 either. I know.
I will try and watch it if like a big name is playing that I recognize, but otherwise when I watch it, I'm kind of just lost.
I knew my way around like Flash and Jaedong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember when they swapped over to 2.
And how big a deal that was.
And it was like, oh my God.
Jaedong rolls up on the MLG stage and does a backflip, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, this is different.
Oh, I should have saved it.
Or when Nada, do you remember there was one series where Nada like he got cheesed in the game 1, and then he stood up and he like took off the jacket.
Yeah, he
and
got
like,
into
dropped it on
series
the ground and just smoked that dude in games 2 and 3. And it was just like, girl, bye. The old school Bonjois, man, they were something.
Dude, we're gonna have a Manscaped read about Jaedong someday, but not today. Anyway, to bring it back into the realm of things that old man Blais might know about.
You guys were just speaking French there for a little bit, so I was just kind of looking at stuff on the internet.
It's like even your kids won't be into StarCraft 2. It's so sad. Like,
nope.
It's unfortunate. Getting back into the hockey here, is there something you can give me here, Blais, that the Avs can really look to improve on other than get a better goaltending and get healthy?
No, I mean, that's really it right now for the Avs. Like, just look at all the stats from this game. Like, if you look at it, you're like, oh, Avs win this game. But that's not the case.
It's certainly not a 5-2 game if they get competent goaltending, right?
No, not at all.
I don't know what it is. I'm not saying they win it. I personally feel like they probably would have won it. We got robbed of a good third period because 55 seconds in, a whole bunch of derpitude took place. So we never even got to see, like, are they going to make the real push? Because they got that second goal, and it was just like, game.
You can make a game out of this third period, and then they just kind of shit the bed on the first shot for the third period in a row.
Actually, I'm gonna bring this back. The power play could probably use some help, and I know AJ. Everyone wants to say every team could have a better power play, but like right now, it's stagnant. They can't even get into the zone and get set up most of the times. And when they do, I mean, they are making those passes, but it's all perimeter, and they're not seeing any type of like opening. So it's a little rugged out there right now.
I wanted to ask this question on the power play before AJ goes off on the stats that the power play.
I was going to say we got some
data
here.
I know, but it just like the eye test, right? Like when you're watching it,
look like their power play didn't score. And that's the difference in the game. In a 3-2 game, their power play scores and yours doesn't. That's it.
Yeah.
Done.
Do you feel like that other teams, though, are now looking at the apps, watching what they do? Because there's two ways that they basically set up to get into the zone, right? And that's that drop back pass, and it's either going back to Mac or they pass it over to maybe Girard or Landy if he's out there on the power play to try to get set up in the zone.
So their entry changes because they go from having all kinds of moving parts to it to it's just the drop pass to McKinnon, and then he skates up and he tries to do some. Other times they had one entry tonight, and it was maybe the cleanest entry they had, where they made 3 passes, and it was like everybody was like packed in between center ice and the blue line, and then they dropped it, and I was like, how? Yeah. How is there still a guy back there? And then McKinnon, and he grabs it, and he just, he gets in, free, and it was like, all right, it works. It continues to work. I think they continue to get in when they add these little wrinkles to it. I don't have any problems with the drop pass. I'm on record saying it for years now. The drop pass works. It's why all teams do it now. All 31 teams run a variation of it, and they have a unique weapon in Nathan McKinnon.
I think that's the key here is Nathan McKinnon can almost always make the drop pass work. We saw Landy tried to be the man back on a drop pass once in this game, and he runs into the first defender and just whips the puck up the ice. It's like, okay.
It's my real problem with the power play. I mean, how many weak plays along the wall are we going to watch Andre Burakovsky make?
This is what I wanted to get into, because I will say I really like the setup they use on Berkey's side there. They really effectively move the puck low to high as they've started putting that puck down low to Landeskog. But you watch so many of those play die to Burakovsky just throwing a puck right into a stick or sending it to nobody. It's tough.
Like they got the 6-on-5 advantage, right? They win the face-off. They have possession. All of this is good. Burakovsky's on the wall by himself. A guy gets near him. He is now able to sense another human in his bubble, and he panics, loses the puck, and he goes out of the zone. And you're just like, bro, you have got to be more competitive than this. And like that's also to say, like, Burakovsky is almost entirely responsible for their second goal.
Yep,
because he forechecks, creates the turnover that goes to McKinnon, and then screens Fleury. He does a great job there, and it's none of the things that you think Andre Burakovsky are good at. And you're like, yeah, dope. Also, just to point this out, to say that a power play is predictable is maybe the worst criticism of all time. Every power play is predictable. Do you think Washington has reinvented the wheel with Alex Ovechkin? Like, no, they're all predictable. They all do the same stuff. Get the puck to our best players with a man advantage on the ice. and try and work the puck around so that we have an open shooting lane. That's it.
Even on entry, though?
That's it. The entries, there's all kinds of room for creativity.
Yeah.
And the Avs, the one thing I wish the Avs would do a little more of, they have that little wheel play that they run every so often, and it leads to breakaways. But it's like at least once per game, they should try running that play.
Yeah.
The one where Rantanen and Landeskog like circle around in the zone, and
they all get in with speed.
Yeah, and then Cale Makar just zips one through traffic, and they're just like, oh crap! Now Landeskog's by himself. Like, this is dope, right? Like, I'm digging this. Anyway. Point is, my power play problem tonight was just that Andrei Burakovsky is not.
He's just miscast.
Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
He's just not that guy. Like, JT Convert continues to do nothing on that unit. He's adding nothing to it. It's frustrating.
Do you put Kadri in there to try to break that up? Like, yeah.
At this point,
I was thinking, yeah.
Might as well. You almost don't want to because you're looking at it and you're like, I don't want to reward a guy who's struggling this much. Like, putting a guy on a top power play unit is a reward for things, right? Like, that you just don't want to do it. You just don't. But you also know you have to get this guy going.
Yeah.
You have to get him feeling good about himself. You have to get him back to playing good hockey, making good decisions. And again, to be honest with you, I thought there were way more positives to pull from tonight than previous games, where there was like it was just like a wasteland.
Agreed.
He draws 2 penalties. He takes a stupid one, but he draws 2. He's got the one great scoring chance where Fleury makes a great glove save. He's got the other that he creates for Jost where it goes off the post. And then I did not mean for that to rhyme. And then he finds Graves on the back door. Like, there were positives here for Kadri. There were negatives, and that's what everybody wants to obsess over. They were game-changing negatives. Absolutely. But in terms of trying to see a guy on the verge of a breakout, a guy that's at least putting up positives.
A sign of the correct direction, at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and are you going to feel like amazing about it if they come home and freaking Nazem Kadri goes off against Martin Jones? He has a 4-point night. Like, you're probably just like, okay, like, feel way better about this. This is great. Like, this is great. But yeah, also he is your best face-off guy, and maybe you should have that cat on your top power play unit.
Yeah, definitely a good point. We've talked about Newhook quite a bit, and realistically,
and what else do we talk about when we have to do a show tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, also that. So
I asked one of the Eagles coaches to give me a hot take. I think I told you guys this on some of the new players. They're like, Alex Newhook's the real deal. I was like, that's not a hot take.
It's been slow for him at even strength, but he gets a little. I haven't watched tonight's game, obviously, but he's starting to put it all together already.
Yeah.
And I'm like
I've
been like slamming on like the Newhook like on the NHL team hype. But at this point, it's like you give that guy one more week in the AHL, and if he's still doing that,
if he's got 14 points in 12 games, you just do it. Like,
no, to be honest, dude, really, you don't even wait that long, man.
8 games, 9 games,
because what better way to give the guy an NHL test drive than against San Jose and LA?
That's true.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, let him go out and like see what happens. Because if that dude shows out. You've already burned the contract. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. This is entirely about, can he help your team win a Stanley Cup now? Yeah. Because if he can, his ass should be in the lineup. And I would say if Brandon Saad, if that's more 4 weeks than 2 weeks, this is a serious conversation for me. If Brandon Saad if he comes back and he's healthy and he's looking fine, this is also under the assumption that Nazem Kadri's like, his
continue to implode.
Yeah, he stops getting space jammed. Like, the Monstars return Nazem Kadri to Colorado, then like really, because you look at their lineup. Where do you fit him in realistically?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my biggest issue with that is that a healthy, like with Rantanen and Sat, those guys are in the top 6. Right? Donskoi resumes his spot next to Nichushkin and Jost on the third line. Like, you're not really touching that top 9. You're not Alex Newhook's not breaking that top 9 for you.
Yep.
No.
Now, again, if Nazem Kadri continues to be Monstarred, then maybe. But I just with Newhook, I don't know that like you're not giving him a 4th line job.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're just not. Like I don't think that that's realistic.
You're not asking him to grind. If you're putting him in, you're putting him in there to get a billion offensive starts and go ham and on that side of the puck. Like,
well, if you're putting him on your second power play unit and you're going, okay, well,
hey kid, we know you shoot from that top of the left circle. Do that. Like,
show us what you got.
Yeah.
100%. So that's the Newhook thing is still not for me. It's still not yet, but it's when he signed, I said, look, if the guy goes a point per game in 10 games or whatever, you have to consider it.
Well, the reality with the Newhook move, as you've led to with the Saad conversation and possibly the Kadri conversation, is if you're going to put him on the NHL roster, you have to understand what you're getting. And you know there's going to be some issues at 5-on-5 there.
Yeah.
You know there's going to be some things that he's not ready for at NHL speed. And you just have to live with that and give him the opportunities to play the parts of his game that are ready for the NHL.
Yeah.
And we'll probably talk about it more tomorrow, but
I don't want any game 7s. No game-winning goals in game 7s. I just don't want to
finish every series in 6. Yeah.
I was thinking about it over the weekend, this last weekend, and I was just like, 2 years in a row with game 7 losses is like that's the stuff that cuts a couple of years off your life. If you started at 120, like game 7 losses, like I'm easily down to like 75 right now. I can't keep giving those away.
God, 2 years ago too. That one was awful.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like
awful.
2 years ago was a little less painful because your expectations were not there.
No, but it was like you were on that hype train, and like you look back at it, and it's like they could have won that.
Yeah, but then you also know, like 2 years ago doesn't bother me as much because you also know that like McKinnon's shoulder got hurt in game 7. You don't know what that looked like going forward, and the Blues freaking would have rolled them.
2 years ago is what made last year so much worse, because the entire second half of the game last year was it's happening again. It's happening again.
The problem with last year's game 7 was that it looked exactly like 13-14 against Minnesota.
That's true.
It was that game to a freaking T, to the point where I turned to whoever was in the bar at the time and was like, "Oh my God, this is Minnesota all over again." We
had that conversation of we've seen this movie before.
It was like 3-2, and I was like, "Son of a bitch!" You know how this ends.
Yep.
And then it just cut and paste. Break that heart.
All right. Let's end on a positive note here, as I'm sure you can tell with all the laughing on this podcast. I don't think anyone's too worried about the L.
No, I wrote it in my piece. Vegas can go ahead and feel really good about themselves that they can take Colorado when they're playing a second string goaltender and missing a third of their top 9. If you take out, I would love to see what full strength Colorado looks like against Oscar Dansk and with no Max Pacioretty and no Alex Tuck. And what else is an equivalent here?
And Zach Whitecloud missing.
And I'd pick a third top 9 forward from them. No Jonathan Marchessault.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just pick one. I don't care. Great. Now you got that. Let's see how full. Let's see what they look like. Let's see what full strength Colorado looks like against Vegas. That version of Vegas. You got Oscar Dansk in net, no Pacioretty, no Tuck, and no Marchessault. 1, 2, 3, go.
Do this super shitty YouTuber thing and be like, if we get 1,000 likes on this video, the Avs are guaranteed to win their next hockey game.
I mean, what does it hurt? It's like prayer.
But for real,
why not?
It does help us a lot if you guys do like and subscribe to the video. Doesn't have any impact on the Avs' ability to play hockey, but you know.
Did the
you don't know that like it doesn't.
This coming from you, AJ, this is rich. Okay?
Just
like
saying.
the most superstitious guy, or at least superstitious.
least.
Yeah,
it's true.
AJ isn't even a little stitious. Like,
stitious doesn't live in my neighborhood.
Covering guys that are like ultra superstitious about everything.
It is really funny when I do talk to those guys in the room, and they're like, "Oh, I've got to do this or I've got to do that," and this is, and it's just like,
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm like,
yeah.
You do what you got to do, bud.
You've gotten really far in life acting like this, so I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. But it doesn't matter. Yo, ghosts are real, bro.
Yeah, AJ believes in ghosts.
And the only reason that I'm on Team Ghost is because I've worked in too many hotels with supernatural events.
Once this pandemic is over and we're all back hanging out at the DNVR bar, just come in and ask AJ to tell you ghost stories.
AJ, you like horror movies?
I do. I really like horror movies.
I watched Amityville Horror this weekend.
I don't like that horror movie.
The ending, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's it. All right,
we're done here.
Okay. Soon enough, hopefully, for the playoffs, the Avs can make a deep run just so we can be popping at the DNVR bar.
For sure.
Other than that, I guess we are out of here. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. for our usual off-day show, which could be about anything at this point.
I kind of want to hear this ghost story from Colfax.
Oh my god!
Ghost stories tomorrow. These are be hockey related.
Ghost stories.
That one could be very interesting,
dude. That actually, like, haunted arenas. Ooh, that'd be spooky. All right,
dinner theater arenas like tonight.
Oh my god!
Did that not look like it's like people are like there for the show while eating?
It's Vegas, baby. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening, however you consume the podcast. We really appreciate every single one of you guys showing up. A lot of you here, even with the Avs loss tonight. So that was cool. Hope we made the night a little bit better for you in some way or another. But we're going to get out of here, and we will talk to you all again tomorrow.